Welcome to Whispering Pages. If you're here tonight, you've already made a choice most people don't, to end your day learning something new, without a screen lighting up your face. And I'm so glad you're here. Tonight, we're diving into a book that might quietly shift the way you see every negotiation, every decision, every moment where someone else's choice affects yours. But before we get there, let's take a moment just for you. You've been making decisions all day. Small ones, large ones, some that worked out, some that didn't. You don't need to replay any of them right now. For the next 30 minutes, let them go. Just rest. Feel the weight of your body against the mattress. Notice how your pillow cradles your head, how you don't have to hold yourself upright anymore. Take a slow breath in through your nose and let it go. One more time. In and out. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Soften your jaw. If there's tension behind your eyes or across your forehead, let it ease. You're safe. You're still. And you're exactly where you need to be right now. Here's something you might not know. The 30 minutes before sleep is one of the most powerful learning windows your brain has. As you transition toward rest, your mind becomes especially receptive to new ideas, and what you absorb tonight consolidates deeply into memory while you sleep. So you're not just winding down. You're doing something quietly brilliant. You're learning, without the blue light, without the scroll, without the noise. Just a voice, a story, and a mind that's open and ready. Tonight's book is called The Art of Strategy, written by Avinash, Dixit and Barry Nalebuff, published in 2008. It's a game theorist's guide to success in business and life. And before you think game theory sounds cold or mathematical, let me tell you, this book is about people. About how we make choices when our choices depend on what others will do. About cooperation and competition. About why some negotiations succeed and others fail. About the invisible patterns that govern everything from salary talks to parenting to presidential campaigns. So let's begin. Get comfortable. Close your eyes if you'd like. And let's whisper through this one together. The authors start with a simple idea that changes everything once you see it. Most of the decisions you face in life aren't like chopping wood. They're like chess. The lumberjack doesn't expect the wood to fight back. But the chess player knows every move depends on what the opponent will do next. This is what makes something strategic. Your business rivals are thinking. Your negotiating partner is calculating. Even your children are learning which strategies get them what they want. And once you understand that the world is full of these interactive decisions, you start to see patterns everywhere. The book opens with 10 little stories. They call them tales of strategy. Each one reveals something about how we think, or fail to think, strategically. There's the story of 3 people who went on a TV show and agreed to let embarrassing photos of themselves be broadcast if they didn't lose weight. It sounds extreme. But think about what they were doing. They were playing a game against their future selves. Today's self wants to exercise and eat well. Tomorrow's self wants the ice cream in the couch. By creating a penalty that tomorrow's self desperately wants to avoid, today's self wins. The authors call this tying your own hands. and it's surprisingly powerful. There's the prisoner's dilemma, which you may have heard of. Two suspects are interrogated separately. Each is told, if you confess and your partner stays silent, you go free and they get 10 years. If you both confess, you both get 5 years. If you both stay silent, you both get 1 year. The rational move for each person, taken individually, is to confess. But if they both do that, they're worse off than if they both stayed silent. The tragedy is that self-interest, pursued independently, leads to collective disaster. This pattern shows up everywhere. Why do nations engage in arms races that leave everyone less safe? Why do companies cut prices in ways that hurt everyone's profits? Why do students stay up all night studying when they'd all be better off if they all studied less and got more sleep? Because each person, acting rationally for themselves, creates a worse outcome for the group. But here's where the book gets interesting. It doesn't just point out the problem. It shows you the solutions. And the first solution is one of the most elegant ideas in all of game theory: backward reasoning. Imagine a game tree. You're at the start, and every choice you could make branches out in front of you. Then, for each of your choices, your opponent has their own set of choices, which branch out again. The tree grows and grows until you reach the end, the outcomes. Most people start at the beginning and try to think forward. What should I do first? But that's backwards. The right way to think is to start at the end and work your way back. Look at all the possible end states. Then ask, which of these can I actually reach, given that my opponent will make their best move at each step? This sounds abstract, but it's incredibly practical. The authors illustrate it with a story from the TV show Survivor. Two teams are playing a game with 21 flags. Each team takes turns removing 1, 2, or 3 flags. The team that takes the last flag wins. Most people just start grabbing flags. But if you think backward, you realize, whoever leaves their opponent with exactly 4 flags will win. Because no matter what the opponent does, take 1, 2, or 3, you can take the rest. So how do you leave them with 4? By leaving them with 8 on the previous round. And how do you leave them with 8? By leaving them with 12 before that, and 16 before that, and 20 at the very start. Suddenly, a game that looks random has a perfect strategy. And the team that figures this out will win every time. Not through luck, through logic. This is backward reasoning. And it applies to far more than games. It applies to negotiations, to business strategy, to parenting. Anytime you're making a decision that depends on what someone else will do next, you think backward from the outcome you want. The book then introduces something called Nash equilibrium, named after John Nash, the mathematician whose life was portrayed in A Beautiful Mind. A Nash equilibrium is a situation where everyone is making the best choice they can, given what everyone else is doing. No one has an incentive to change their strategy unilaterally. Here's the thing about equilibrium: it doesn't mean the outcome is good. It just means it's stable. The prisoner's dilemma has an equilibrium where both prisoners confess. That's stable. Neither has a reason to change their choice alone. But it's terrible for both of them. The real world is full of these bad equilibria. Traffic jams, price wars, arms races, environmental destruction. Everyone is stuck in a pattern where no single person can make things better by changing their behavior alone. So how do you escape? The authors spend a lot of time on this question, and the answers are fascinating. One way is repetition. If you're playing the same game over and over with the same person, cooperation becomes possible. because now there's a shadow of the future. If you betray me today, I can punish you tomorrow. This is how trust gets built in business relationships. This is why long-term partnerships work differently than one-time transactions. The future matters. Another way is communication. If prisoners could talk to each other and make binding agreements, they'd stay silent. But the trick is making those agreements credible. Just saying "I promise" doesn't mean much if you have an incentive to break your promise later. So the book explores how you make commitments believable. Sometimes it's through reputation. Sometimes it's through contracts. Sometimes it's through burning bridges, making it impossible for yourself to back out. The second part of the book is about strategic moves. And this is where things get really interesting for anyone in business or negotiations. There are 3 types of strategic moves: commitments, threats, and promises. A commitment is when you limit your own future options to change the game in your favor. A threat is when you commit to punishing the other side if they don't do what you want. A promise is when you commit to rewarding them if they do. The key to all 3 is credibility. A threat only works if the other side believes you'll actually carry it out. A promise only works if they believe you'll actually deliver. And credibility is hard because often, when the moment comes, your incentive is to back down from the threat or break the promise. Think about a parent threatening a child. If you don't clean your room, no screen time for a week. The child tests the boundary. Do you follow through? If you don't, the threat loses all power for next time. This is why parenting is so exhausting. You're constantly in strategic games where your credibility is being tested. The same applies in business. If a company threatens to walk away from a negotiation, but the other side knows they desperately need the deal, the threat is empty. If a manager promises a promotion for good performance, but never actually promotes anyone, employees stop believing in promises. So how do you make yourself credible? Sometimes by making the cost of backing down higher than the cost of following through. Sometimes by delegating the decision to someone else who has different incentives. Sometimes by making your commitment public so your reputation is on the line. The authors also talk about the power of uncertainty. In many games, it helps to be a little unpredictable. If you always do the same thing, people learn to exploit that. This is why in poker, you sometimes bluff. Why in business negotiations, you don't always accept the first reasonable offer. Why in sports, you mix up your plays. There's a delightful story in the book about 2 major auction houses, Christie's and Sotheby's, competing for the right to sell an $80 million art collection. The collector couldn't decide between them, so he had them play rock, paper, scissors. Christie's consulted the children of their employees, who explained that everyone knows you should start with scissors. Sotheby's thought it was pure chance and picked paper. Scissors cut paper. Christie's won a $3 million commission. The lesson? Even in a game that seems random, if your opponent isn't randomizing, you can gain an edge by thinking about what they're likely to do. The third part of the book gets into specific applications. Auctions, bargaining, voting, information, incentives. On auctions, there are many different ways to run an auction, and each one creates different incentives. In a standard ascending auction, where the price goes up until only one bidder remains, you have an incentive to wait and see what others will pay. In a sealed bid auction, you have to guess what others will bid. The authors explain something called the winner's curse. If you win an auction, it often means you bid more than anyone else thought the item was worth. So rational bidders shade their bids downward to avoid overpaying. On bargaining, the authors explain that bargaining is about more than just splitting the difference. It's about who has more patience, who has better alternatives, who has more information. If you're negotiating a salary and you have another job offer, your alternative matters. If the company desperately needs to hire someone before the quarter ends, time pressure matters. Good bargaining is about understanding and improving your position on all these dimensions. On voting, this is where things get beautifully strange. The authors show that when more than two options are being voted on, the outcome can depend completely on the order in which votes are taken. You can manipulate the agenda to guarantee your preferred outcome wins, even if it's not the majority's first choice. This is why procedural rules in Congress matter so much. The game isn't just about convincing people to support your policy, it's about controlling the sequence of votes. On information, sometimes it helps to reveal what you know. Sometimes it helps to hide it. Sometimes it helps to send a signal that only certain types of people can afford to send. This is why companies spend money on advertising that doesn't directly explain why their product is good. The very act of spending that much money signals that they expect to be around for a while and have a good product. This is why job candidates get degrees that may not teach them much. The degree signals that they were capable of completing something difficult. And on incentives, this might be the most practically useful chapter in the book. The authors explain that you can never just tell people what to do and expect them to do it optimally. You have to design the incentives so that doing what you want is also in their best interest. This is why sales commissions exist. Why teachers get evaluated. Why contracts have penalties for late delivery. You're not managing people directly, you're designing a game where the right behavior is the winning strategy. The book is filled with examples from history, business, sports, and everyday life. Cortez burning his ships so his soldiers couldn't retreat. Companies like Walmart using contracts that commit them to low prices, making it credible when they negotiate with suppliers. Parents who struggle with bedtime because children learn to exploit the parents' inability to credibly threaten punishment. It's worth pausing to understand where the art of strategy fits, and where it has a genuine challenger. The most important book to read alongside this one, and to some degree, against it, is Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. Kahneman spent decades proving that people are not rational in the way game theory requires them to be. Not just occasionally irrational, but systematically, predictably, reliably so, in ways that are consistent across cultures and high-stakes contexts. We overweight vivid recent evidence. We fear losses far more than we value equivalent gains. We make different choices depending on how options are framed, even when the underlying math is identical. The art of strategy builds on the assumption that people, facing important decisions, will tend to act in their genuine best interest. Kahneman's life's work is the evidence that this doesn't reliably hold, and that strategic models built on rationality will sometimes produce advice that doesn't survive contact with real human beings. These two books don't cancel each other out, but they create a productive tension that makes you think harder than either one does alone. If tonight's book ignited something and you want to go deeper into the theory itself, further than Dixit and Nalebuff take it, the original source is Thomas Schelling's The Strategy of Conflict, published in 1960. Schelling was one of the first to apply game theory rigorously to real-world situations: nuclear deterrence, arms control, international negotiation. He won the Nobel Prize for it. The art of strategy is, in many ways, a more accessible restatement of Schelling's core insights. Schelling is denser and more demanding, but if you want to understand where these ideas came from and how far they actually go, he is the deeper well. Now, for the honest part. The book's most significant limitation is the assumption that runs beneath almost every model it presents, that people are rational. Not perfectly rational, but rational enough. In practice, people are emotional, impulsive, poorly informed, and sometimes self-defeating in ways that no strategic framework fully captures. The Prisoner's Dilemma has a clean solution on paper. In a real room with real people and real relationships and real fears, the dynamics can be almost unrecognizable. The theory is clear. The world is messier. There is also something subtly troubling about viewing every human interaction through a strategic lens. The book is careful to note that not every relationship should be optimized, but the analytical framework it provides can be hard to switch off. Some of the most meaningful things in a life, love, friendship, grief, care, don't have payoff matrices. They resist the logic of incentives. The risk of this book, taken uncritically, is that it makes a sophisticated thinker out of you while quietly hollowing out the parts of life that don't respond to sophistication. And finally, the book's examples, while engaging, tend to involve situations with clear rules and defined outcomes. The 21 flag game, the auction, the sealed bid. Real strategic situations, inside organizations, inside marriages, inside political coalitions, are often so ambiguous that the question of what game is even being played is itself contested. The theory works best when the game is already well defined. Life often refuses that courtesy. So what do you take away from all this, as you drift towards sleep tonight? Perhaps it's this: you're surrounded by strategic situations. Most of them you don't recognize as such. You think you're just having a conversation, but you're actually in a negotiation. You think you're just making a decision, but you're actually playing a move in a larger game. And once you start seeing these patterns, two things happen. First, you get better at navigating them. You think ahead. You consider incentives. You look for ways to make your commitments credible. You recognize when you're in a prisoner's dilemma and start looking for the exit. But second, and this is the part that surprised me most about this book, you become more compassionate, not less. Because once you understand strategic structures, you stop taking bad behavior quite so personally. When a colleague undermines you, or a negotiation goes sideways, or a competitor does something that seems inexplicably aggressive, the game theory lens asks a different question than the one most of us ask. Instead of, why is this person like this? It asks, what incentives are shaping what they are doing? And that question is often more clarifying and more forgiving than the alternative. This is one of the book's quietest insights. It points out that many of the worst outcomes in the world, arms races, price wars, environmental destruction, political gridlock, aren't caused by evil people. They're caused by ordinary people caught in badly designed games. Everyone is doing what's rational for them individually. The disaster is structural, not personal. If you want things to be different, you don't need to find better people. You need to redesign the incentives. That's a perspective shift worth carrying with you. The final chapter of the book is a collection of case studies: corporate bidding wars, patent licensing negotiations, environmental treaties, sports drafts, and what they share is a single through line. The same handful of principles keep appearing in completely different contexts. Backward reasoning, credible commitment, mixed strategies, repeated games. The specific situations change. The underlying architecture doesn't. And that's the real promise of this book. Not that you'll win every negotiation, or outmaneuver every rival, but that you'll stop feeling like you're improvising. You'll start recognizing the shape of the game before the game has finished. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, that recognition is enough to change the outcome entirely. So let that settle in as you drift towards sleep. Think of backward reasoning not as a technique for winning arguments, but as a way of thinking through consequences before you act. Think of credible commitment not as a manipulation tool, but as the architecture of trust. Think of the prisoner's dilemma not as an abstract puzzle, but as a lens for understanding why people who want to cooperate sometimes can't, and what it would take to help them. The real art of strategy isn't playing the game well. It's seeing the game clearly enough to know when to play it, when to change it, and when to walk away from it entirely. Sleep well. And we'll see you at Whispering Pages for the next one.